Amen. Thank you so much, Minister Terry. To God be the glory for the great things He is continuing to do.
Welcome back to Life Reimagined radio show. Thank you so much, Minister Terry, for that prayer. We're having a wonderful time here tonight. Thank you all for tuning in.
We're going to get started with our guest, and her name is Miss Chrisnata DeRozier. She is funky, soft, and just plain fabulous. She has captivated audiences of both Florida Gulf Coast and Nova University. She was named the Urban League of Broward County's success story. Chrisnata is making her mark in her community as well as in the world at large. She has been seen on the Lee Pitts Live Tropic TV and also featured in Bronze Magazine. Today's innovative woman and radio shows such as Naked Truth, Love, Hate, and Relationship Show, Soul Tropics, Love 101, MIA Live Net. Earlier this year, Chrisnata was nominated as one of the many women leaders who are making an impact in the lives of women across the country by the United States Women. As a survivor of an eating disorder and sexual abuse as a little girl, Chrisnata once struggled with her self-image. Since then, she sees herself through the eyes of the King and helps other women to see themselves through God's eyes as well. She overcame that struggle and vowed to always inspire and uplift other women to love themselves. This is where her organization was birthed. I Am a Masterpiece. I Am is a movement designed to help other women discover the masterpiece within themselves. She wants women everywhere to love themselves and to accept God who created them to be. Let's give a
great welcome to Chrisnata DeRozier.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for having me. Super
You're very
excited to be on the broadcast.
Thank you so much. So let's get started because I'm so excited to know more about the I Am movement. What
awesome.
is on the inside of you?
Okay, well, on the inside of me, greatness is on the inside of me. God is on the inside of me. I was created by the absolute greatest, which is God Himself, Jesus Himself. And I am a reflection of my Heavenly Father. And so is everyone listening on our broadcast tonight. So basically, I am a God carrier. I carry God on the inside of me. And everywhere that I go, I make sure that I take Him with me.
I love it. Okay, He's on the inside of me too. Thank you. We all have had a small piece of heaven deposited on the inside of us. What will you do with your deposit?
I will use my small piece of heaven that's been deposited on the inside of me. I would use it to love God's people. I will use all of my experiences, good and bad, all the lessons, all the hurts, mistakes, as well as the wisdom that's been given to me via the Holy Spirit to help God's people to overcome and to begin living life on purpose, saying yes to God, being in His will, and truly living an abundant life while we're here on earth.
Awesome. What is CORE?
CORE. Oh, I'm so glad you asked. I love CORE. Well, CORE is actually an acronym. It's an acronym that I created. In CORE, each letter in CORE stands for something different. So, for instance, the C is confront your past. O, operate in your strength. R, move all the junk out of your life. And E is to evaluate your heart at all times.
Okay, can you repeat that one more time? I was trying to write it down. So CORE is, the C is?
No problem. C stands for confronting your past. And the reason why I created this acronym is because so important to really operate from who we truly are, not who we've become over the years because of the mistakes we've made, because of our current circumstances, but the default version of ourselves, who God created us to be before all of the craziness happened in our lives, before we've been tainted by hurt and so on. And so I really wanted to create an acronym that people could understand that could help them operate from an authentic place. And so once again, C is to confront your past. Deal with those things that kind of been over your head or you've been ignoring for years that, are affecting your current life. So you want to confront it and deal with it. O stands for operating in your strengths. So many times we focus on what we're not good at doing, and we are so critical with ourselves. But it's so important to really maximize our strengths. What are we good at doing? And let's invest time, resources, and effort into the things that we're good at. R is for removing the junk. Removing the junk. I don't know about you guys, but I've had some junk in my life. I've had some junk.
Yes,
definitely.
Yes, a whole lot of it, and it was holding me down. I mean, I was blaming every old body, but it was up to me to be responsible of doing some spring cleaning and removing habits, people, things, activity, selfish ambition, whatever the junk was. I had to say, okay, enough is enough. I need to really let this go. And lastly, E is for evaluate your heart. And the reason why I think that's so important is because I have been guilty in the past of doing the right things for the wrong reasons. And so though it looks good.
One more time. We struggle with that daily, right?
Yes, I've been guilty of doing the right things for all of the wrong reasons. I mean, completely wrong. I mean, it looked good on the outside. So, I would get praises from people, get accolades. Everybody's like, oh, that's so great. We're so proud of you. Such a great person, right? But on the inside, I was doing it for the wrong reason. I was like, well, if I do this, they got to do that. If I do this, I'll get praised. I'll feel good. And so that's not operating from my core, and that's not being authentic. And though nobody knew that, it was still not okay. And so it's so important for me to constantly check my heart and say, okay, how do I feel? And if I don't feel right, why? So, yes, evaluating your heart is the E in core.
Awesome. Oh, Lord, we're getting it in tonight. So how do you operate in your truth?
How do I operate in my truth? That is a great question. For me, I have learned over time that being self-aware is so important. And so for me, it's so important for me to be in touch with me. I'm constantly asking why, but not so much people. I'm always asking myself why. And so it is very rare that I blame someone for something that has to do with myself. Very rarely, because I'm constantly saying, did I miss something? Did I not hear the whole instruction? Okay, so maybe I misunderstood. Could it be that I got emotional? And if I am emotional, why is this a trigger for me? Not that the person is wrong so much, but why does this affect me? Because I might be the only one upset, nervous, or insecure, right? So I have to kind of deal with myself. And so for me to operate in my truth, it's very important for me to be self-aware. And so I'm constantly checking in with myself. I've learned that there were some triggers that would affect me emotionally. They stemmed way back to my childhood. So it had nothing to do with the people I was interacting with. It had everything to do with me and my history. And so it's so important now for me to say, well, Chris, that was a joke. I don't know why you're really upset about this joke. So I had to, just start to kind of talk to me and kind of dig through some things and say, what's uncomfortable? Why can't this person stand that close to you? Why did that hug make you nervous? Like, what is it? What's going on with you? Because everyone else is okay and comfortable, but you seem to be a bit on edge, uncomfortable, insecure, nervous. So what's going on with you? And so I'm constantly checking in with myself. So that's one of the main ways that I operate in my truth.
Wow, that was so important. That right there was like, whew, a huge pill to swallow for me. I know I experienced that too, and I still go out there and I have to check with myself. Like, girl, what is going on? Get it together now.
Right. Mhm.
So I
Very
definitely
important.
understand. It is. Does anyone else have any questions for Sis Malcolm?
Yes, I sure do. So, Chris Malcolm, what inspired you to become a coach?
I love being a coach. It's very funny that you asked me that because I didn't plan on becoming a coach, actually. I never thought about it at all. It was never something I aspired to do. But what I did know is that I was raised without a sister. So I always had a longing to be around women and my peers. And so I was really good at getting all of my girlfriends together. And I did this for years. Like, okay, everyone, meet at my house. We're going to hang out at my house, and we're going to get some food. So I was really good at bringing women together. And then a few years, I want to say about at age 19, me and a couple girlfriends, we started a Bible study group. It was a weekly Bible study group. And we kept that study going for 9 years. And I remember looking back and saying, wow, we met religiously every week for 9. Like, that is, I mean, we had babies born within the group. People got married. People moved away, got promoted. I mean, so many life changes happened within the group. And it made me so happy to be a part of something like that and to kind of help women start conversations about things that were uncomfortable. It was about the Bible. It was about being a woman. And so I realized at that time that I loved bringing women together, and I was always helping them reach their goals, helping them to set goals, create steps to reach the goal. And so after a while, I said, I really like this, And then I discovered there was a name for it. And so I went ahead and got certified and became a life coach, and that's what I do, and I absolutely enjoy it.
Okay. And so what are some of the services that you offer as a life coach?
As a life coach, there are 2 main programs that I offer. The first one is a 6-month coaching program. That is a group coaching program for 6 months. And essentially what I do is we set goals. So we have goal setting. We create SMART goals so that we can SMART goals to reach our overall big goal. And so we also have the accountability within the group, and we meet twice a month. And the other program that I have, for anyone who may not be interested necessarily in a 6-month group coaching or who really longs and desires to become part of a sisterhood where we discuss purpose, faith, and authenticity, I have a membership group. So it's not necessarily coaching, but I am facilitating the group. So you do kind of get some freebie coaching in there, here and there. And we have a membership group as well. So those are the 2 programs that I offer.
Oh, that's phenomenal.
Thank you so much.
So what do you want to share with our listeners about living the life you imagined?
I would love for the listeners to know that living the life you imagine is as simple as saying yes to God. Living the life you imagine is not as far-fetched as we all may think. We're like, oh, man, I can't do what I want. I have to work this job. I have to do all these things. And there's nothing wrong with that. But saying yes to God and being in his will is ultimately the best life that you could ever live. And so what I want to encourage the listeners tonight is for some of you to redefine what success looks like and to say yes to God and to be full of faith concerning the purpose that God has specifically for you. And to just say yes, be open to him and what he wants for you to do, and your life you will live a life better than you have ever imagined saying yes to him. So that's my encouragement tonight, is to say yes to the Lord wholeheartedly.
Yes, I totally agree. Because in order to live that life you dream to live, and he has one that he has planned for you that is amazing. So when you start walking with Christ, he opened up the windows and pour out those blessings.
Absolutely.
And help us to get our lives in check. Because like I said, you can be all over the place. So walking with the Lord is the best way.
It is.
So how can our listeners contact you, find you on social media?
Oh, I would love to connect with all of you, actually. I am Chris Nassa everywhere, and I don't think there's another one. So if you find Chris Nassa, you found me. I am at Chris Nassa on Instagram. I am Chris Nassa DeRozier on Facebook and Twitter. And also, my online home is www.imamasterpiece.com. You can find out more about my programs and events and everything else there as well.
Thank you so much for being a guest on our show tonight. We look forward to hearing from you and talking with you again in the future.
Thank you for having me. I've had a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chris Nassa.
You're
welcome. And now you're very welcome. And now a word from our sponsor.
I created the Grief Helpline to help individuals bring joy back into their lives after personal loss by providing workshops, retreats, and one-on-one and group coaching. I realized that I wasn't the only one grieving the loss of a loved one. I knew the value of a strong support system and wanted to integrate that into my business. I understand how lonely the journey can feel and how easy it is to slip into the mode of depression and hopelessness. I was accustomed to saying that I was okay and having long, hard crying spells at home. I had been in a relationship with Paul for over 30 years. When he passed in 2007, the same year I started my business, it took me a while to get over that loss. I was constantly thinking of him, things we used to do and places we used to go together. Then I realized that he was in a better place and wouldn't want to come back here for anything. He was a good guy, and I feel that his spirit is resting. I had to thank God for placing him in my life and finally letting him rest. Again, that wasn't easy to do, but it did deepen my passion for helping others in similar predicaments. In 2009, I became Joy and Grief certified. Now, I had both the personal experience and professional training to go about fulfilling my purpose of helping those who are dealing with grief and having a hard time putting their lives back together. I'm sure you can relate to the fact that moving on after the loss of a loved one isn't easy. It's a struggle. The worst part is when your support system disappears. During the funeral arrangements, you're so wired, trying to get everything done and put away. After that, you realize that no one is calling anymore. The support system that you had when people were sending their condolences and praying for you isn't there anymore. At that point, you realize it's just you. The Grief Helpline, written by Vanessa Blackwell, the grief strategist, and narrated by me, the Queen Bee, Angie B.
Welcome back to the Life You Imagine radio show with Vanessa and Takia. We are having a wonderful time here tonight. If you're just tuning in, we just got off the interview with Chris Nassa DeRozier. She was telling us about CORE and the I Am movement. If you missed any of that, please catch the replay or follow us over at Life You Imagine. You can check into the location now, and we'll be posting comments from her interview there shortly. Next, we have Roseanne Reed. Roseanne is a woman qualified for the job. Her experience spans over 17 years in international business and management as a dynamic speaker, a best-selling author, and a lifestyle coach. She stands by the belief of discovering your soul purpose and motivates yourself to walk in it, and enjoys empowering others through speeches, coaching, and counseling. As a self-motivated individual who is diverse and outgoing, Roseanne uses her platforms to speak to her audience on using their purpose as an anchor to balance one's life despite what life may set in your path. Some of her topics focus on shifting one's mindset from pain to purpose. Let's give a great welcome to Roseanne Reed.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Are you here,
Hi,
Roseanne?
Hi, Roseanne.
She may couldn't get on the line because Roseanne is in Jamaica. So I sent her the number to get in. I'm not sure if she can connect.
She texted and responded that she's on the call. Is her phone muted? It's a 4440 number. The first three digits is 673. Okay, can we go ahead and do the minister moment with Maria while we get Roseanne's phone together?
All right, Minister Terry, you can give us your ministering moment.
Hello.
Yes. Is this Roseanne?
No, this is Minister Terry.
Okay, Minister Terry, you can go ahead and give us your ministering moment. We're trying to get Miss Reed on the line, but you go ahead and get started, and we'll get back to her.
Oh, well, praise the Lord. Praise the Lord. I'm just enjoying myself on tonight and all the information that was given out and in the testimonies that were shared. I praise God for you all. Tonight, we're coming from Matthew 21 and 22. And all things whatsoever ye ask in prayer, believe ye shall receive. And Mark 11, 22, 23 and 24. For verily I say unto you, that whatsoever ye shall say unto this mountain, be thou removed, and be thou cast into the sea, and shall not doubt in his heart, but shall believe that those things which is he said shall come to pass. He shall have whatever he said. Therefore I say unto you, whatsoever things ye desire, when ye pray, believe that ye receive them, and ye shall have them. If I could put a subject on this, it would be the final exam. Yes, the final exam. God has always had an unusual way of speaking to me through his word. I was always more of a listener than a seer. I could recall my mother telling me to do as she says and not do as she do. And I could always find myself doing the opposite of each. You know, as children, we were so inquisitive, or should I say nosy. I paid attention, but not only to the things that drew me, but never to the things that seemed to keep me drawn. I had issues with things, especially things pertaining to school, or should I say school had an issue with me. I could remember a few of my teachers, like Miss Wilson, or she was a pale-skinned, soft-spoken young lady who taught me reading. And then there was Miss Hatton. She was short and stout. She was a disciplinarian who would march up and down the halls and yelling and screaming. And then there was Miss Sims. She was our math teacher. She would teach us math, and she was very strict. She had a afro, and everybody was scared of her. But she would spank our hands with a metal ruler, and she didn't play with us. No, she didn't. But then I had a favorite teacher, Miss Missouri, Dolores Missouri. In my early childhood years, I enjoyed much of my schooling experience. I believed that school was was supposed to be a place of fun and relaxation. I shortly soon realized, after much scorning and scrutiny, not only from my mother, but from my teachers, that school was a place of learning. I learned that I had the idea of school was a place of fun. Excuse me. I learned that school was not a place of fun, but it was a place of 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 business. I learned in order for me to advance to my next lesson, I had to learn the next level of education. I had to learn to pass the next grade. I had to learn my warm-ups. I had to learn my warm-ups, my assignments, my classroom assignments, my final exams. I had to study. I had to prepare myself. I had to buckle down. So if I wanted to show myself to my teachers, what my teachers was teaching me, I had to learn. I had to sit back and learn what they was teaching me. So I had to obtain all the information that was given to me. So I had to learn it all in the end. So please stay with me. I'm going somewhere. I'm going somewhere. I am going somewhere. Please stay with me. Some would say that we would use science was a good subject, or social studies was a good subject, but I would always be in trouble with those things. I would have trouble with those subjects. I love gym and I love recess, but recess wasn't a subject at all. It was a relaxation period. But Miss Missouri taught us how to look at words and look at the words, how to cut them up and break them down and look at them closely. I told myself that these things that I had to remember. She taught us words like transmexicans and zazazzy. She taught us words like boom and boost and drive and power and vigor, victorious. I looked so she could show me how to break the words up to find the meaning of the words. That's what I'm trying to say. She showed us how to look at words and how to break the words up. and am I breaking up?
No, go ahead. You good.
Okay. And I looked at how she showed us how to look at the words and how to look at the words and find the meaning of the words and the definitions of the words and the pronouns and prepositions, phrases. I don't know. My notes are all jumbled up here, but I'm trying to say that she tried to show us the words. So I looked up words, and I looked up the word healing. The word healing has a primarily word, theropon, is attentive to care of the sick. Is chiefly used in Matthew, Luke, and 1 John 5 and 10. And nomai, to heal, is used of physical treatment 22 times in Matthew 15 and 28. Is made whole and healed. So Acts 9 and 34 figuratively is spiritual healing apart from it. Lastly, Luke physicians uses it 15 times. So she would instruct us on how to start the word at the beginning and look at it in the middle and jump to the end and pull it all together. And I fooled around a lot in school, and I didn't pay attention to a lot of the words and stuff. But it came to a time when I had to take the final exams, and I had to take the quizzes, and I get nervous, and I get anxious, and I didn't want to fail. But my friends would call me out on some things, and I would have to find the spelling of the words, and I would mess them up sometimes, and I get the definitions But thank God I paid attention. I would have to, I would have the same thing tonight if I told you over and over again. He told my daughter to pay attention. She told my daughter to pay attention. I said, "No, Lord, wasn't paying attention." So you see, your thoughts will start a blessing when when you heal your Lord. Forgive me.
Okay. Thank you, Minister Terry.
All right, so do we have Miss Roseanne Reed, the Dream Inspirationist, on the line?
Yes, I am here. Can you hear me clearly?
Yes, 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 yes. Welcome, welcome.
Welcome,
Thank
Roseanne.
you.
Okay.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. Roseanne is a woman qualified for the job. Her experience spans over 17 years in international business and management as a dynamic speaker, best-selling author, and lifestyle coach. She stands by the belief of I'm sorry, discovering your soul purpose and motivate yourself to walk in it, and enjoys empowering others through speeches, coaching, and counseling. As a self motivated individual who is diverse and outgoing, Roseanne uses her platforms to speak to her audience on using their purpose as an anchor to balance one's life despite what life may set in your path. Some of her topics focus on shifting one's mindset from pain to purpose. And let's give a great welcome to Roseanne Reed.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
Let's jump right in. You founded the Dreamers Market.
Yeah, go ahead.
You founded the Dreamers Marketplace. Can you tell us a little bit more about the marketplace?
Okay, so the Dreamers Marketplace is a support group that I have on Facebook. My mission through my business is to help others to birth and monetize their dreams. And so one of the things that I found when I started my business was that there's a lot of people who want to start businesses, but they do not have the money to invest in a consultant or coach or, branding and websites and things like these that you would use to set you up in business. And so I realized there was a big section of the market, both locally here in Jamaica and also overseas, who didn't have anything to invest but really had a true passion to start business and to make their dreams a reality. And so my philosophy through my business is to help others to turn their dreams into money. And so when I realized the gap that was there, I decided to create a free resource that offers tips and strategies. We bring in guests and do live video interviews through the group to help you to start your business and to create wealth. So that's basically what the Dreamers Market is about. It's for persons who have big dreams, but they don't know what systems to put in place to make those dreams into money. And so we offer free resources to help you to be able to get started, to start earning some money so that, you'll be able to invest in a coach or a business consultant or whatever business services you need to upgrade yourself going forward. But at least it's able to give people a start and not leave them feeling like they're floundering in the middle of nowhere.
Oh, yeah, that's nice. That's good. Yeah, because it is a lot of bells and whistles to starting a business, so it's good that you have an outlet to do that.
Definitely. And that's part of what I suffered from when I started my business. So, I said, why not, when I started getting paying clients, create a forum where, I'm able to give back to offering free resources and tips that can help us to get started.
Okay. In 2015, you published Pain to Purpose, your first book. Give us a brief synopsis of your book and what inspired you to write it.
Okay, so the book From Pain to Purpose, The Exodus, is a memoir of the first 23 years of my life. It basically shares the life story of how I overcame domestic violence, My father used to put me in a fetal position and lock me in the cupboard as the key as punishment between the ages of 6 to 14. I went through two near-death experiences and also had, hello?
Yes.
Hello? Are you hearing
Yes,
me?
hello.
Okay. I went through two near-death experiences and had a minor breakdown at 17. And so that was the journey in which I grew up. That's what I was accustomed to, fighting and strife. And my father always verbally abused my mother. He abused us physically as children. But I came out of that at 23. God called me to leave it all, and I packed up. I left everything that I'd ever known. I'm now completely ostracized from my immediate family as a result because that church that I was born in is a cultic church. Once you leave it, they don't associate with you. Similar to the Amish and Scientology churches. And so I was working professionally, I'm going down to what inspired me to write it. I was working in my highest paid job. I spent 14 years in international business management in corporate Jamaica. And at the end of my last full-time job, I was sitting at my desk. I had a senior management position. I was getting the most money I'd ever gotten paid in a job. And I had started this business, but at the time I was only doing motivational speaking. And I remember sitting at my desk with a hole in my heart, like feeling like something was missing. I don't know if you know that feeling. Like there's just something else that needs to be done. And so I said, God, what is it that I need to do that I'm not doing? And he said, you need to write about the pain, because there's another book that I started writing, which that book is going to be coming out at the end of this year, focused around freedom. But I had written the first four chapters and gotten writer's block. And for those of you who are authors, you know writer's block means you write a portion, then you can't write anymore. There's no creativity, there's no flow to continue writing the book, and that's what had happened to me. And I was wondering, why is it I have everything that I need for this book? I have the content, I have the cover page, I have the title, the cover is designed, everything is done, but I'm blocked. I can't write the chapters in between the first four that I wrote to the end. So I went into prayer, because I'm a woman of God. Before anything else, I went into prayer, and I started really thinking about why I was having this missing. And God said, you need to write about the pain. You're hiding from it. You're testifying about it in the churches that you attend and that you minister at. But you don't want to tell the story publicly because you're ashamed of your past. And I need the world to know how you move from pain to purpose, because this world is in too much pain. The world is in a lot of pain. The church has failed me because of pride. People don't want to talk about what they've been through. If you were raped, you don't want to say that you were raped. If you were abused, you don't want to say that you were abused. Nobody wants anybody to know about their past, because everybody wants everybody to think, life was perfect for them. And so God said you need to write about the pain, and that's how I ended up writing this book. After I got that revelation, I just went and started writing. And now you have From Pain to Purpose, which has led to a whole lot of other things. Now I have a conference that's come out of it. Multiple TV and radio interviews have come out of it, etc., etc. So,
wow. Where can our listeners purchase the book?
They can get it on Amazon.com. It's in print and it's also in Kindle, Barnes & Noble, and the Nook as well, BarnesandNoble.com. And if you go to any of the Barnes & Noble stores, they can also order it for you if they don't have it in store. If the persons are in Jamaica, it's available in Kingston Bookshop, at the bookstores island-wide, and they can also go to my website, roseanne.com, and get it. But by and large, it's on Amazon and Barnes & Noble and the Nook. And also on Books A Million, BAM.
Okay. So what's your favorite thing that you like to do when you aren't writing, coaching, speaking, etc.?
Reading.
Reading?
I'm an avid reader. Reading is my number one hobby.
Okay. As a domestic violence survivor, what is the one thing you would like to leave with our listeners?
All right. So the one thing I want to say is that there's life after the pain. There's life after the pain, because persons who go through domestic violence or rape or anything that is so traumatic, The first thing it pushes you to do is to curl up within yourself and to reclude from the rest of the world. And you lose confidence in yourself and in your ability to do anything. And so that's what I really am passionate about now, is letting people know that there is life after the pain. You can find purpose in the pain. You can turn your story into something that can empower other people. So you can overcome it, and you also can use it to benefit the rest of the world.
Yes, I love that. I'm a grief coach, and I've also all my brothers and sisters. So you're right. There is life after the pain. You know,
Yes.
you find your purpose,
Yes.
and like I said, being the last one here, I became a grief coach. So I definitely feel you on that. Does anyone
Yeah,
else have any
okay.
questions for Roseanne?
Yes, we do. I have questions. Anybody else have questions before I go? No? Okay. Roseanne, you're called It's Time to Fly is one of your presentations you present. Can you tell us a little bit about this?
Sure. Okay. So your call is time to fly. Basically, it's focused on persons who know that they have a specific gift, specific talent, specific area that they can serve in the world. But sometimes they know what it is that they're good at, but they're afraid of putting themselves out there. All right? So your call has to do with what specific calling you have, and we may usually classify calling as whatever is your divine gift. What are you unique at? For some, it may be being a coach, it may be being a speaker, it may be being an author, it may be doing business, it may be preaching, it may be teaching. No, the problem that happens is that we become afraid of launching out into the area, especially if it's not something that we're doing or may not seem popular to other people who we are associated with. And so we actually don't do nothing with it. We just have the dream in our minds. We think about it, we picture it, but we don't actually do anything. And so it's time to fly refers to it's time for you now to start walking out that calling, to start walking out that purpose, that gift, to start doing it, to start offering it to the world, to start letting people know that this is your area of specialty, this is what you're good at, and this is how you can help to serve the world, whether it's through volunteering or setting up a business or just, helping somebody to do it in that zone. Because most of the times what happens is that in life, we allow our dreams to be buried. We allow our purpose to die because of what
Right.
other people say and what we think other people are going to do if we decide to do it. For example, when I launched out doing a book, I was asked who did I think I was to become an author. I remember when I left my parents' place where I grew up for 23 years, I remember my sister saying to me, nobody's going to hire you. When you think when you leave here, you can have a life. And so different people will say different things, especially if it's an area that they are not accustomed to anyone being successful in. They're not exposed to anyone who's being successful in that area. So your call is time to fly. It's saying to you, listen, you have a gift, you have a calling, you have a purpose, whatever it is. It may be a business, a product, or a service that you need to do. It could be a book with your story or educational information for persons. But whatever it is, it's time now for you to deliver that to the world.
You are
That's
so
awesome.
correct.
Yes, I love that.
Yes, definitely.
Thank you.
That is so true because a lot of people, like you said, they die with it because they're afraid to talk to people and to get it out there because they heard
Yeah.
somebody that told them that they couldn't do it and they just like, okay, well, I always wanted to open a
Yeah.
hair salon, but nobody else supported me, or I always wanted to write that book. My mom tells everybody she meets, you got a book inside of you. What's your book? I'm like, my everybody don't want to be off.
I believe everyone has a book inside of them.
Yes, but I just don't know. Some don't know it, and some don't want to push themselves to get it out. So, you know,
Yeah, so I
depending
definitely
on what the book is. But
right,
you said
exactly.
something. You said something just now. You just brought back something to my memory. All right, go ahead. I'll remember it later.
Okay,
Um,
and just text
I
me.
just, yeah, go
So
ahead.
Tell us. Go ahead.
okay, so share a little about your moving from your job to CEO.
Okay. All right. So moving from job to CEO lifestyle, that speech, and I think I have a webinar on it somewhere around, um, is basically the processes that you go through to move from a full-time professional in a 9 to 5 job to being a full-time CEO. All right. And through that process, I share the strategies with persons of how I did that myself. Because a lot of times, the reason why businesses fail is because people come out of a 9 to 5 job with an employee mentality, not understanding what are the let's call it rudiments of business, or I should say principles and morals of business, and then they get into the business and they start struggling and they give up, and then that's the reason why we get statistics that say 96% of businesses fail within the first 5 years, and this is of startup businesses fail within the first 5 years. And so most of the reasons why that happens is because people don't know what to do and how to move from their job. So for example, one of the strategies that I usually recommend is I say to somebody, if you want to start a business, do you know how much it's going to cost in its entirety for you at least to launch it? Okay? I remember having a call with a client who wanted to start a boutique, but she didn't know how much it would cost to start the boutique. And so that's where there's a loss. So she would launch into starting the boutique and then end up into problems because there's no money to consistently push the growth of the boutique. And so in the From Job to CEO lifestyle speech, what I speak about is what are the strategies and systems that you need to have in place to enable you to move smoothly from your job to your CEO lifestyle. Another key tip is you need to have at least 6 months. I say minimum 1 year, but depending on what's happening in your life and what your financial situation is, I'd say 6 months to a year of operational expenses sitting in a bank account, meaning expenses to do with your rent, your utilities, your food, your transportation, your phone, your cable, internet bill, and things like that. These things are things that people don't think about because a lot of people just think that, entrepreneurship is just, you just make money once you announce that you're going to be an entrepreneur. No, there's a strategy that has to be in place, that must be in place in order for you to do it successfully. And so that's basically what the subject CEO lifestyle speech is around. And now we have also done a webinar for that as well.
Oh, okay. I'm going to have to get that one because my son, I tell him all the time that he's going to be a CEO, and he gets so mad at me. Ma, I don't even know what that is. Okay, but you're going to be a CEO, so don't worry about it. And he was like, no, Ma, I'm not going to do that. Like, that's your dream. And I'm like, you're going to be the CEO of your company. Yes, so hopefully we can get him there.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, well, I'll be able to send that to you.
Okay, thank you. Mommy, what was you saying?
No, she does another presentation on birthing the dream.
Oh, okay.
Is that a book or is it a workshop?
Right. So you want me to share what we do with that one as well?
Yes.
Okay. So birthing the dream. All right. So similar to from job to CEO lifestyle is a process. So your dream can be a business, can be a book, can be flying to Tahiti for a vacation. It can be a whole host of things. But the process that it's going to take to get you from just a dream as an idea, as a concept, as something on your vision board, to actually something in reality is a process that a lot of persons actually give up at. So for example, birthing the dream, one of my dreams is always to be an author. No, when I got the writer's block with the first book, I could have just stopped and not done anything, right? But the thing is, I decided to keep pushing because I knew that there was a call in there, that's where I was called to serve. So I kept searching, right? Now, in the process of birthing the dream, a lot of opportunities came because my dream to become an author turned into multiple media interviews, right, which turned into more exposure for my business and my ministry. Now, If I didn't birth that dream, the opportunities that have come as a result of birthing that dream of just becoming an author would not have been available to me, right?
That's
So
true. Right.
this is what the birth in the dream presentation is about. In this presentation, I share, some of the struggles that I've been through to start business, to do business and maintain it successfully, to write a book, to host a conference, whatever it is. If for you it may be something different, but it's letting you know that it's not just about the dream and the pretty part of the dream, but showing you how to deal with the challenges when they arise and how to make a decision on what next best to do. For example, when I was writing my book, just before we launched it, I
Yeah.
think we were sending the final draft to the publishers. What happened was that I woke up one morning and I couldn't move my feet. I stood up to walk to the restroom, to the bathroom for my morning routine, and my feet gave way and I flopped back on the bed.
Mm.
Um, didn't expect this any at all, right? But
Mhm.
guess what? A trip to the doctor told me that I was pregnant and didn't know.
Oh,
And
wow.
also, I had been running my body weight because I was writing the book and only getting like 2 or 3 hours of sleep per night. Lesson learned, lesson learned. So for those who are going to
Mhm.
warn me about working hard, I learned my lesson the hard way. But trip to the doctor told me that I was pregnant, and so it was a couple of days before I could walk again. And even when I could walk, I had this excruciating pain in my back. So that left me on, like bed rest for a couple of months. So then I had to make a decision. I had a business running and I had this book just launching. I had already pre-released it and persons had started ordering the books from all over the world, Canada, New Zealand, Australia, England. They had already paid their money for the book. So the decision had to be, do I shut down both the business and the pre-launch system and give back everybody their money? Or do I shut down one and just try and run the other minimally? And so my decision was to shut down the business for the time being, explain what was happening for the clients, to the clients that I had, work on close off their projects as much as I possibly can, or pass it on to other business coaches or life coaches, um, and maintain the launch of the book because that would then keep my integrity in the marketplace, right? Because these people had paid their money, and continue with that, which that system was already set up. We were just waiting on the rest of stuff from the publishers and stuff to, just get them printed and sent out. So I was able to run that part from my laptop, from my bed
Mm.
and
Okay.
smartphone. Okay?
Wow.
Now, here's what would happen. That pre-release system got me requests for national television interviews, national newspaper interviews, or major national newspapers and television stations and radio stations with international radio interviews and the like.
Mm.
Got me to be able to be a best-selling author also um, within the first 6 months of publishing the book. Now, all of that led to open doors and opportunities and speaking engagements that I got. Whereas if I closed it down, I would never have gotten those opportunities. So,
Wow.
in Birth
Okay.
into the Dream, we focus
Mhm.
on what can you do to get that dream out. Just like giving birth to a child, if there is a lot of pain that you have to go through. And so birthing your dream, and your dream could be your business, it could be a book, whatever that is, birthing that dream has challenges. And so in that presentation, we look at that workshop, we look at what do you do? What do you need to have in place to birth the dream? What are the decisions you need to know how to make and stuff like that so that you can really make this dream into a reality and make some money from it. If it's something that you make money from, or if it's a non-profit or a charity where you are going to be giving back to
Mhm.
community or a specific cause to make sure that it has the maximum impact.
Well, how can our listeners connect with you on social media?
Okay, so my website is roseannereed.com. If they go to my website at the top right, they'll see all my social media handles. I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. So they can connect with me. Some of the channels are at Roseanne Reed and some are at the Dream Monetizer. But the quickest thing to do is just go to roseannereed.com. That's and then EREID.com, and they'll see my social media channels that will just, once they click it, it takes them directly to my social media platforms where they can follow me.
Thank you so much. You are our first international speaker. We were so honored to have you. I look forward
Thank you, and congrats to you.
To my dream is to become an international speaker. So I will definitely be reaching out to you, Roseanne, so we see how we can work together in the future.
Oh, yes, we need to talk because I have an International Women's Empowerment Conference course. So definitely, we'll talk some more about that.
Awesome. All right, you have a blessed one. This concludes our show for the evening. Have a blessed one. I will reach out to you soon.
Okay, thank you. Bye-bye. Thanks for having me.